Hello, hello. My name's Robbie Samuels, and I'm so glad that you are here looking at the No More Bad Zoom Settings checklist. On the right, you're going to see the actual PDF, and if you don't have already access to this, you can go to robbiesamuels.com/Zoom settings to get access to it. There is no email opt-in required. There's no fee. It's just something I really want you to have access to because I'm on a campaign to end bad Zoom, right? We want no more bad Zoom. We've had enough of it. We've had it for months. My first version of this settings checklist came out in April, and I'm updating it now in August of 2020. I will keep doing so as Zoom keeps iterating and changing the way their settings are set up. So to make a really good online experience, well, one of the first things you really need to have is you need to have your settings enabled correctly. We can work on all the rest of it, online facilitation, virtual event design, but you have to have your Zoom settings correctly set up. So where you want to go to do this is you want to go open a browser window to zoom.us. That's zoom.us, which is what you see on my left screen here. And I know it might be a little small. I'm going to kind of zoom in on that screen in just a moment. But first, I'm going to click on my account. And then on the left-hand side, the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one down the left, it says settings. Now that I have that clicked on, I'm going to just zoom in here. I make this as big as I can. You can see this. So there we go. So on the left side of the screen now, you're going to see what is happening at zoom.us under settings. On the right side of the screen here is this checklist. So the first thing we have to do is look for the waiting room. Now, I just want you to know that I have these right now in the order in which they appear at zoom.us on the settings page, but it's possible that Zoom will change things around, and if so, my suggestion is you use a control find or command find to search for a keyword to help you find that on the page. Waiting room used to be way at the bottom, and they moved it to the very first position. So if that were to change again, you would just search the word waiting and you'd find this. So anytime you see the word off on the settings checklist, I want you to disable that particular option. And anytime you see no words after it, then I want you to enable it. So enabling it means this, where it's blue, and disabling it is gray. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on waiting room. And then there are some fun options, and particularly customizing waiting room, not required, but something to look into. And then the next thing I want you to do is look for embed passcode in invite link for one-click join. I think this is a kind of a security risk because if you use a passcode, but the passcode's in the link and then you post a link somewhere, it essentially just makes it really easy for people to jump in your meeting. So please be careful with your Zoom links. If you were to, I don't know, write your phone number on the bathroom wall, you wouldn't be shocked that people started pranking you. So likewise, don't take your link and just post it on public walls all over the internet. And because you're inviting bad characters, nefarious people to come and kind of interrupt in one way or another your meeting. So that's one thing to think about. And then down here we have participant video on. So you'll see this here on the left. You want to turn that on. So that way, default is that participants will put their video on. That helps with engagement. I think it's pretty important. You use PMI when scheduling a meeting. I have that as off. So that's this right here. Your personal meeting ID is the Zoom link that you were given as soon as you signed up for Zoom, either a free account or paid account. And my suggestion is you only use that for one-on-one meetings. And that if you're going to schedule a meeting, a group meeting, that you don't use this, Zoom will create another link for you, just in case that link gets compromised. At least you won't have compromised your personal meeting ID. Now, some of the settings that I'm reviewing are not available for the free account. So it's possible as I'm going through this, you might not see a feature, in which case then you'll know that's something that you're missing by not having a paid account. Paid accounts are $14.99 a month, about $150 a year. There are 30% off coupons floating around the internet that are pretty easy to find. So I suggest getting this because there are other limitations of a free account. For instance, you only have 40 minutes if you have 3 or more people on a call, and then you just get off and join the call again. So things to think about. So mute participants upon entry. I think this is really important because if someone joins in the middle of the call, you don't want them to have their background noise be disruptive. I also like starting people off with some music and everyone muted, and then you have a sort of like a big reveal of when the curtains open kind of thing. So things that kind of help manage the experience. Sound notification off. Now, I have to tell you that you may have experienced this, and I just did the other day. If this is not disabled, then every time someone joins or leaves, it goes bing, little chime. Very annoying and not easy to turn off once you're in the meeting. In fact, a lot of these settings you need to have on before you go into your meeting. There are some things you can turn on and off with pretty good ease. Like the waiting room, you can turn on and off from the Zoom app. But I was just having all these things correctly set up, and then you can always kind of play around with them once you're in the Zoom app. The next one here is file transfer. You may have seen this on some chat room, some chat windows. You will see in the bottom right corner a file option. This allows you to maybe send a PDF, which could be a really good way to send people instructions for breakout rooms or other activities. And the next one on here is co-host and then polling. You need to enable these, or else you won't be able to assign someone else to be a co-host. You won't be able to launch polls. Now, co-hosts can do everything it says here, except actually they can't do breakout rooms. So the breakout rooms need to be managed by the host, but it's pretty easy to assign a co-host while you're in a meeting, and it's pretty easy to also make someone a host when you're in a meeting. So those are things you have to enable ahead of time. Pollings, likewise, it's really good to have this feature turned on, but know that you're going to want to design your polls before going into the meeting, and that the poll is attached to the particular Zoom link. So if you make polls for your personal meeting ID, they will not be available when you create a new link for another meeting. So every link has its own set of polls. So screen share, this to me is another sort of security piece, is to have the default be that only the host can share their screen. That way people can't just jump in and start sharing their screen right away. You can make someone a co-host if you want them to be able to share their screen, or there is a way, there's a sort of a little security badge in the bottom left of the Zoom app when you're the host. One of the options is you can give everyone permission to share their screen. Annotation and whiteboard are on the top right here of this list. And the annotation, this is every time you share your screen, someone could draw on it. So my suggestion is, will you enable it, but that you have it be that only the person who's sharing can annotate. That will kind of, again, be a little bit of a security feature, but still leave that option open. The whiteboard is built into Zoom. It is literally a whiteboard, and you can draw on it and do all fun things. This is some good things to think about turning it on, but then having some autosave features. Here's a couple of fun ones. Nonverbal feedback. You may have seen people being able to do yes, no, or faster, slower, raise their hand. This is all in the bottom of the participants panel. That's how you enable that. And then you may have also seen people doing meeting reactions. That's the thumbs up and the clapping. And then you see that sort of on the bottom right of your Zoom app. Sitting there, it says reactions. And so that's nice to be able to give people a chance to sort of participate and engage a little bit. Allow remove participants to rejoin. To me, I turn this off because, again, security piece. If I think someone should not be in my community anymore and I want to remove them, I don't want them to turn around and come right back in. Now, I do want participants to be able to rename themselves. I really like giving people the opportunity to maybe add their location or some other keyword or interest that helps me know where they're from and helps everyone else also learn a little bit about them. And then we have breakout rooms. This is one of those features that a lot of us, including me, didn't know that we have access to. It's been free. Even on the free plan, it's been available for a few years now. But a lot of us discovered this in March or April. So you need to enable breakout rooms, and then you have to learn how to use them. But that's another step. And then the next thing on here is virtual background. So this is kind of a fun thing. I wouldn't take it too seriously. Most of them kind of look kind of odd. They don't really work well. You end up disappearing a little bit on your screen if you don't have a green screen. But if you want to play around with that and have some fun with it with your friends, that's how you turn that on. and then join from, here it is, show a join from your browser link. So I have that disabled because, well, it says it right here, that the meeting experience from the browser is limited. So for one thing, I do know that someone joining from their browser, not from an app, they can't go into a breakout room. I'm not sure what else is limited, but I imagine the experience is not quite as good. So I would encourage everyone to just download the Zoom application and work from there. So I've just sort of disabled that so that I know that everyone has the same experience. And then lastly, you may not know whether you want to do this or not, but allow live streaming of meetings. You can always decide from the Zoom app whether you want to actually do this. This allows it. It doesn't actually make it happen every time. So go ahead and turn that on for Facebook and YouTube. And I hope this has been helpful to you. I am a virtual event design consultant. I also am a Zoom producer, which means I handle the sort of strategy in the back end of technology, breakout rooms, managing chat. I work with a lot of consultants. I work with organizations that have 150 to 500 person events and help them bring their in-person events online. A lot of chapters of different associations that I work with. And I also am a Zoom trainer. So I actually host a free weekly virtual happy hour, a No More Bad Zoom virtual happy hour every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. And as it says here on the bottom right, it is a fun way to network and discover new ways to design engaging online experiences. There is 75 minutes of content and lots of networking, lots of experimenting, different breakout rooms, different exercises, a lot of sort of train the trainer is my mode. I have some guests, special guests that come in every other week. And then there's 45 minutes of Q&A that, of course, you're welcome to stick around for. So every single week, 5 o'clock Eastern, I do this. It is free. And go ahead and sign up at nomorebadzoom.com. And if you really want to up your Zoom game, this is a part of your business, you want to get better at this, not just 5% better once, but 5% better every single time you either host or present online, then I suggest you check out the 5% Advantage program. It's a 4-week certification program that helps presenters grow in their confidence with Zoom, online facilitation, and virtual event design so that they can reduce their tech angst and host more engaging online experiences. You can learn more and join the waitlist for the next 4-week program at the5percentadvantage.com. And I encourage you to share this document with anyone you'd like. Again, there is no email opt-in required, but I really want this to get seen far and wide. And you can see the information on how to share that on the bottom of the screen, robbiesamuels.com/Zoom settings. Here's the thing. If I gave you an award-winning French cookbook and I said, if you follow the instructions in this book, you will make amazing meals. And you're looking at the book and you realize you don't have any of the ingredients, you're not so sure about how to use sharp knives safely, and you don't tend to measure things properly, how good of a meal do you think you're going to be able to create, right? So the Zoom settings, well, that's the ingredients. You need to have that basic piece covered. But if you're not so sure about online facilitation and you really know what I mean by virtual event design, that's why you should be checking out these resources, coming to my Friday happy hour every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, learning, meeting people, asking questions, and then maybe invest in yourself and your business and go ahead and take this 4-week program. You can get certified, no more bad Zoom, and feel just a lot more confident in your skills and go and grow from there. So thank you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Robbie at robbiesamuels.com. Thank you so much for joining me in my campaign, #NoMoreBadZoom.